Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Kimberly. I know I've met pretty much all of you. Today is your lab day review. You have been given some folders. The best thing to do with that folder is to try to keep it exactly where you found it so that when I go through the PowerPoint, you won't go, oh, where is this piece? Where is mine? Inside your folder, you will find on the left-hand side, there's a couple of documents. The one for sure that you all have is going to look like this, Neurotoxic Questionnaire. I'm not going to go over that exactly right this second. I just want to kind of tell you what's in your folder. So the left side will be this folder, and if you have some other papers on the left-hand side, then those are papers that are specific for some protocols or some things that are action steps that you'll need, okay? On the right side of your folder, what you'll have in it is some clipped papers together, and the first paper should look like this. It says doctor's recommendations. I have notes written all over yours, and when we go back after this and cover, if some of you will have some questions maybe after this, when we go back, I'll explain a little bit more in detail kind of some of the things that I wrote on your papers. But those are your papers. We won't cover any of your stuff in this room, okay? The second paper, what you'll see is your Tanita. So you had your body fat tested, okay? So that's going to be that tiny little strip next to it, and then you'll have your lab results, okay? So your lab. What's that? It's not second. What do you have second in your folder?
The labs.
Okay, so the labs are second. So your labs are in there second. I'm glad I have Rebecca in here. She's going to sort us out. So the second paper is going to be your lab. There's about 5 pages. And on all of your labs, if there's something that I needed to write some notes on, you got my notes. They're written on there. It might say heart. It might say liver. It might say kidney. It might say, so I wrote some notes on there. The next paper is the Tanita. Okay, so your next paper is your body fat analysis. And then after your body fat analysis is your BCS test. So it looks like this. This is the visual test that we did on all of you. Okay. And then your last paper is going to be your Neurotoxic Questionnaire. I wrote some notes on that. So I wrote notes on all of your papers so that I could come up with my recommendations. Prior to the recommendations, I also spent time reviewing every one of your files, your history, your medications, maybe a diagnosis that you came in with, any other previous tests that you've had done as well, like maybe you've had metabolics or thermography. So I used all that information to come up with what the recommendations are. Make sense? So every one of you came to the Detox Project, yeah? And am I right? Everybody came to the Detox Project? Okay, good. So everybody came to the Detox Project. So what we'll do is we will review a little bit of the Detox Project, and it's going to kind of trigger your mind a little bit why you even did this in the first place, okay? And also maybe why some of your labs turned out to be the way that they turned out, okay? So I'm going to ask you guys, give me kind of a listing of what, from the Detox Project, the toxic top 6 are. Do you guys remember what number 1 is? I don't have dim here to write on my board. Good, medications, that's right. So these are the toxic top 6 that we covered from the Detox Project. What's number 2? Anybody remember? Wow, did you memorize the list? Girl, that's good. Household products. You guys remember now on your papers? What's number 3?
Toxic cookware.
Got it. And what's 4?
Water.
That's right. What's 5?
Heavy metals.
Good. It's quite a longer one, right?
Bio.
Mm-hmm. Heavy metals. I'm going to unpack that a little bit. Just remember. Can you guys see the board from when I step away? Can everybody see it? Okay. What's number 6?
Food.
Food. Did you say food? Yeah. Food. Okay, so the reason why you guys made some decisions to do some action steps, I'm going to review the action steps. You guys have your little action step sheets from like the detox project of, you know, maybe some things you might want to look at your water. Remember the little list that we kind of went through? So if we're talking about the toxic top 6, medications are number 1. Even if it's something that your doctor prescribed, even if it's something that you have to take for the rest of your life, it's something that you need to make sure that you recognize that it is also a toxin, and that means it does cause some side effects. It does cause some problems maybe with some organs, maybe some congestion in some different areas. So what we just want to recognize that, you know what, if that's the case, then I'm going to have to do a little bit more work on making sure that I keep detoxing, and I do that, you know, through the different channels that we talked about. Now the second one is household products. That's huge, right? There's so many different ways we could go with household products. Give me some examples of things in your home that are household products that have some toxins in them.
Detergents.
Okay, so detergents, that's right. So maybe laundry detergent or dishwasher detergent. Okay, anything else?
Anything that has bleach.
Anything with bleach. Oh my gosh, the good old bleach, but the naughty old bleach, right? So a lot of people think their house is not clean unless it smells like bleach, but then that's just super toxic. But that's kind of the way we've evolved. We went from apple cider vinegar to bleach. I don't know how we got there. But so bleach, what else? So cleaning products really is what she's saying. Anything to do with cleaning products, and a lot of them have some toxic things in them. In fact, I have some patients of mine that came in to see me that had these terrible skin disorders. I mean, I'm talking bleeding, cracked, scabbed skin disorders. And when I did their testing, we found out that the cleaning products that they use, they breathe in, and it gets in their lungs, comes out, burns a hole in their digestive tract, and comes out in the skin through scabs, you know, cracked, bleeding skin. In fact, I asked one patient, I said, show me your cleaning products. Take me, show me. She said, well, they're in my trunk right now. Come on. And we go out to the trunk, and we look in her trunk, and her cleaning products say on the outside organic, okay? But then on the bottom it says, if you breathe in this product, it's liable to burn a hole in your digestive tract.
You're kidding.
So marketing was really good. She kind of got took by the marketing part, right? Which a lot of us do, unfortunately. And I take her test results, and her test results, literally, she has leaky gut. So she's not absorbing anything. And here's what she says to me. She said, it's kind of interesting. She said, every time I clean a house, I might clean 5 or 6 houses a day. That's a lot of houses. She goes from one house to the next, and every time she gets that product out, she said it immediately makes her eyes burn and her nose run. Now, if there's something that you breathe that makes your eyes burn and your nose run, that's probably not a good product. I mean, it's a good warning for all of us, right? So that's something really important. Now, house, anything else in the house? So cleaning, detergents that we use.
Soaps, your cosmetics.
Yeah, your personal care product, your soaps, your cosmetics. What about the things that we're doing right now? Bugs, right? We're all getting worried about, you know, the mosquitoes and the cockroaches and the ants. You know, I just in my Southlake office, we came in to the Southlake office, and the kitchen had the Pharaoh ants, you know, the ones that like sugar. Well, apparently there was a container of nuts that one of the ingredients had cane sugar in it. So the lid was kind of slightly loose, and guess where they went? They were filled up in that container. Well, we just closed the container and threw it in the trash. So, but we used peppermint oil, and they don't like peppermint oil. So they took it back to their mama, and mama didn't like it, and they all, you know, went bye-bye. So knowing that there are some things that we don't normally use peppermint oil, right? We usually get the big old bottle that says ant killer, and then we breathe it in ourselves, and we wonder why we're feeling a little kind of loopy, you know, or something else has gone on with us. So a lot of things in our household, that right there alone could be enough for most of us to tip the scales to develop some sort of a condition. Toxic cookware, that's another one, right? Did you guys get a chance to talk to the lady that was here that does the cookware? Put this on your action steps. You know, make this be an action step thing. I'll tell you, I thought for many years that I was telling you guys all the perfect advice. until she came to me and she said, well, let's just test your pans. And I tell you, I was kind of annoyed about it. I'm just be honest. I was a little annoyed. I did not have time for this. I'm like, I've researched it. Mercola said so I believe Mercola. If you guys know who Mercola is. So I took my pans that I bought from him and I got them tested, and I was so shocked and disgusted. And when we tested them, they make you kind of, taste the water that they test them in. And ooh, you can taste the metals. You can taste the nastiness that's in that. So it's another area that, you can develop an issue. You can develop, there were some, Rebecca, what was it called? What were the type of pans that we were talking about? They have copper in them? Is that what it is? Is it copper? So there are some pans out there too that have copper in them, and you can't be eating copper all the time, because then that's also something that can get in your brain and cause lots of disorders, right? Dementia, Alzheimer's, all kinds of neurological disorders. So we gotta be really careful with our toxic cookware, right? Next thing would be water, okay? So Dr. David kind of knocked this one. All of us were a little like, I'll never drink water again, we can't do that. But there was an action step on there to make sure you get your filters, right? The Herb Detox Special, I think, is what they offered the coupon code for that. So if that was one of your action steps and you have kind of forgotten about it, just go back and revisit your list. And you can also ask Rebecca for the coupon code, or I think you can go to our website and she can kind of point you where to find the coupon code for that. But water's hugely important. We don't want to be taking a shower and having chlorinated water. Hot water dilates your blood vessels, and then you're dumping 15 gallons of chlorine in your brain. We don't want to do that. So that's another important action step, or toxic top 6. Now this area is huge. Number 5, heavy metals, mold, and biotoxins. So where do we get heavy metals like mercury and lead from? Fillings, that's a good one. Very good. So a lot of us have had silver fillings or still have silver fillings. And every time we drink something hot or we chew, it off-gasses that mercury into our body. And guess where it likes to hang out? It does like the liver, but its preferred place to hang out is the brain. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and it hangs out in there. So generally what happens is the liver gets full, the stomach gets full, the kidneys get full, and there's no more room, so it hangs out in the brain. Now I literally have several patients this has happened to, but one guy, he was a writer, and he wrote for a living, and just from taking a test, so I have a heavy metals test. In fact, it looks like this. So this may be an action step for some of you. But this heavy metals test, inside the test is a provoking agent, and that agent is capsules that you swallow. It provokes the mercury to come out into the urine that we capture. And then we can see, when we send the sample off to the lab, what metals you have in your body. Well, what's interesting is that I've had 2 patients minimum, just 2 stories I'll tell you about, but I have one patient, he was a writer. He became unable to write, didn't want to be around his wife or his kids, just a total recluse. And I had him do this test, and just after taking the test, he dumped off enough mercury that he got his memory back, he liked his wife and his kids again. Now that's kind of a heavy thing, right? But think about people who end up with dementia. They can't remember people or things, right? Alzheimer's, think about all that happens. The other patient that I've had, one of the side effects of mercury is you can't sleep. This is one of them, is insomnia, really bad insomnia. And another patient took the test, and this helped her to be able to sleep. She was unable to sleep. Sometimes she'd go for a whole week and not sleep but an hour and a half. So think about, we said where's a source of mercury? Well, water could be a source too, but what's another huge source? Keep going. Yeah, fish, yeah, that'd be one. But what would be a bigger source that goes right straight into your body? That is sometimes told to us that's required. Yeah. I'm gonna have to be the bearer of bad news to some of you, and even to myself, because even when I was a kid, I had vaccines done, right? So think about the dreaded flu shot that's forced upon a lot of us. Think about our kids. You know, this is very important to know that mercury gets trapped in the brain. So I just said mercury likes to get trapped in the brain. What are some issues, health related, that you see in kids? Anybody? Autism. Anybody, anything that's on that spectrum, ADD, ADHD, Asperger, autism, it's a real thing. We have to test for it, and we have to help all of ourselves. We have to help our children, we have to help ourselves, we have to help our grandparents that are, you know, having dementia and Alzheimer's. This is a very, very important issue. So heavy metals is very important when we're talking about exposing the toxic top 6 and the sources of where we get them from. The next one would be mold. So mold is a biotoxin, but it's not the only biotoxin. Bio means alive, live toxin. So mold is a live toxin. So in your home, some of you checked off on your paperwork that you have had or have currently an active mold exposure, yes? So if you have had at work, your car, or home, some sort of active mold exposure, mold is very, well, think about, there's a lot of Bible scriptures about mold. What the Bible scriptures talk about is if you know, leave the house, and if it's still there, would you guys know the scriptures? It talks about if there's streaks in the home, and you leave, and it's still determined ceremonial unclean, then burn the house down.
Yeah.
That's the Bible talks about that.
Right.
So if the Bible talks about it, then we probably should pay close attention to it. But a lot of times, that's not scripture a lot of us really maybe get into a whole lot. But that is, it's in there. And the reason why it's in there, the reason why it says to burn it down is because it's so deadly to the body. Mold has something in it that puts off spores. And spores actually like to attach themselves to your neurons, to your myelin, the stuff that surrounds the neuron, and it acts like termites and it chews. So people with MS, people with Lou Gehrig's, people with any kind of neurological diagnosis, this is an area that we need to make sure that we don't ignore. I can't tell you the number of cases of people who feel like they were losing their mind. And we test them, and we do all this stuff that I'm talking about with you today, and they literally get their lives back. We had a patient who, she was, a couple people. One lady, she was a cheerleader, she was the top of her class, and her house had some water damage in it, and over a very short period of time, she went from the top of her class, cheerleader, headed to college, all scholarships, to a wheelchair. That's how quickly mold can totally wreck your life. I had another patient who ended up going crazy, literally, and they put her in a mental institution. And Dr. David and I were like, that's not happening on our watch. So we get over to the mental institution and we adjust her and give her what she needed to be able to pull that mold off her brain. There were moments when we went over there and she was wandering around the inside with no clothes on, inside the ward. It had totally wrecked her brain. So when we were able to get in there and pull that stuff out of her brain, give her some stuff to get that out of her brain, she got her mind back. She was able to get out. We got her out of there. We went and pulled her out of there. We pulled her out of there, and she got her mind back. She started to go to school. She learned to drive again. She's totally, fully functional now. And so that's the kind of stuff that we know that can happen to people. And if you think about people you know, that they have all kinds of weird things, nobody's been able to help them, that's generally an area that we've overlooked, okay? So very important. When I say biotoxins, it could be Lyme's as well. So Lyme's disease, a lot of you probably have heard of it before, maybe some of you know people that have had it. Lyme is also a live toxin. So these are some things that fall into the toxic top 6. And as far as the sources for mold, I wrote on some of yours, find the source. One girl that we have, the source of her mold, she ended up getting a terrible autoimmune disease, like Guillain-Barré, and found out that her bedroom was the one bedroom that had water damage in it in the closet. And that's where that's her bedroom, that's her room. And so you have to get to the source of this stuff and you have to clean it up, okay? If you've had an AC leak, if you've had some plumbing issues, if you've had anything that is something that would have brought water into your home, maybe windows that leak, that's all very important. You don't want to leave a mold issue undone because it'll cripple you and it'll wreck you, okay? So very important to look at that. And then the last one was food. What are some of the issues with food? The biggest one that's the nastiest right now that's been going on, GMO. Zoe said it, which means what? Genetically modified organisms. So we have to be, it's really a pain to shop now, guys. I'm just going to be really honest. When I grew up, we had a garden in my backyard. We went fishing, and my dad hunted. So my food was in the yard, and it was in the freezer because of fishing and hunting. It's very complicated right now. And unfortunately, you're responsible for your health, and if you want to be well, you are going to have to learn to read labels, like the shopping day that we're doing with Dr. DeBoer. You're going to have to educate yourself. Go back and re-watch our YouTube videos. Go back and watch the Detox Project. Send it to your friends. When the link is ready, just send it to your friends. Because we're going to have to be smarter than the people that are out there trying to give us all these poisons, okay? We're just going to have to be. And we can be. We're going to have to take some extra steps for our health. Okay, everybody good with that? The toxic top 6. So I want to hit now just your detox pathways and make sure we remember why it's important for your detox pathways to work. We just said all of these devastating things, and all of us have something like this in our environment. We're not going to avoid it. We just have to know it's there, and we also have to make sure that our detox pathways are working, right? Otherwise, we're just going to stay clogged, okay? So toxins will come in, and they go through 2 steps before they're eliminated. They are eliminated through your detox pathways, your elimination organs. What are your elimination organs? Liver's good, kidney's good, what else? Colon. So every time you have a bowel movement, you should say, hallelujah, praise the Lord. We talk about poop all the time, so I'm just going to say that, right? So we celebrate, and I'll tell you this also, if you're not pooping, that's an emergency. You will hear me say that. If you're not pooping, that's an emergency. If you are a person who needs to get these metals out of your brain, and I put you on a protocol called chelation, and you don't poop, you're going to go crazy. Because all you're doing is stirring up the metals, and you're not giving it any way to get out of your body. You guys with me? If you don't pee, or you don't poop, and you don't sweat, it's gonna stay in your body. So very, very critical. I find that to be an emergency. If you start any detox or just anything in general, and you're not pooping, I need to know, because we need to get you pooping right away, okay? So just kind of write that down. Now, your 2 steps in your detox pathways. Step 1 has required nutrients. If in your diet you don't consume the foods necessary to give you the required nutrients in step 1, then will you go to step 2? You won't go to step 2. If you don't go to step 2, what happens to the toxins?
They just build up, accumulate.
They build up, they accumulate, they stay in your body, and they form what?
Tumors.
Tumors, disease. What have you guys heard of fibroids or cysts or melanomas? Have you guys ever? The body will do the right thing because it's not given the chance to dump it, so it's going to form a melanoma, a fibroid, a tumor, a blood disorder. You guys with me? So this is super important to make sure your detox pathways. Some of you, this was a problem on your labs. And so my action steps would be that you need to do the 15-day detox, and again, make sure your bowels are moving, okay? And maybe some other things for some of you. Now, step 2 has required nutrients. So that's going to be the amino acids that you're going to find in the perfect protein that Max Living sells. That's going to be maybe an action step for some of you. It's also going to be sulfurated phytochemicals found in garlic and cruciferous vegetables. So for people who say, I don't like broccoli and I don't like cauliflower, you need to learn to like it. Put some Celtic sea salt on it. Put some hot sauce on it. I don't care. Learn to like it, because you have to have it for step 2. Okay. I'll be honest, guys. When I moved here from Michigan, I'm from Michigan. There were at least 12 foods that I did not like. And I know you're maybe that shocks some of you, because you probably all think I eat perfect, right? But the reason why I made a decision to like avocados, because we didn't eat avocados in Michigan. I didn't even really know what they were. Anybody from Michigan know what I'm talking about? So we didn't eat them. And I didn't even know what really Brussels sprouts were. I didn't know, I love them now, it's probably my favorite. I didn't know what several things were, but even through the process of going through chiropractic school and teaching these things, I make myself learn to like things. And now I don't have to just make guacamole. I can actually eat it raw, the avocado. So we can train our bodies to learn to like things. So if you have told yourself, I don't like vegetables, untell yourself or tell yourself something new. Give yourself a new confession, because it's a lie. I'm gonna prove it to you why it's a lie. Because God made us and He made the garden.
That's true.
There you go. Okay.
That's true.
So everybody good with this detox pathway? Everybody good? Okay. Now the detox project action steps. This is nicely written because Brenna typed it up, but it was not nicely written. Most of you saw it was written over here on the board. You guys remember this list, and you wrote down some of the action steps. And you all have some different action steps. You took some of them, that's why you're in here today. And we are all on this journey. We will not arrive. We will just keep taking steps all the time toward working on our health. Me included, Dr. David included, my kids included, okay? So these are your action steps. Some of you today will need to do the heavy metals testing, because we found some things that look like you have mercury or lead toxicity, okay, on the things that you tested for. So some of you, that will be your action step. Some of you need to get your pans tested and connect with Salad Master. If you don't have the connection information, you'll have to get that from the front desk. Some of you are drinking wine, but it's toxic wine. That was the funny one. I remember that one on the front. Drink your wine. If you're going to drink wine, like I know you're doing it, that's why I got connected with Scout and Cellar. Fantastic company. Switch your wine over to Scout and Cellar. I mean, a totally fantastic company. Very values lined up with us. Everything that we talk about as far as no toxins and chemicals. Shop smart, read labels. That's why we have the shopping day again today. I don't know if any of you guys are going with Dr. DeBoer, but we just did a shopping day. Where did we do it at, Julie? In Southlake. So Southlake, we did Trader Joe's. Detox your body. Some of you just need to get that detox kit, the 2-part kit. Phase 1 and phase 2 is inside the box. Some of you are holding on to it and you're waiting for instruction. I've heard a couple of you say that. So that is 1 in the morning, 1 at night. Okay, so we can hit that today too. Some of you need to get your water filter, the Greenfield Naturals. There was a 10% off link coupon. I think it was sent out in a previous email, I know for sure. And then I think it's also on our website store, on the store on our website. We did VCS testing. I found some very interesting things on your VCS test. It tells me a lot. I'll explain that a little bit soon, here shortly. Neurotoxic Questionnaire, you filled out that 3-page document. Comprehensive biopanel, some of you with the testing, the detox bundle was an action step. 10-day challenge, how many of you did the 10-day challenge? Anybody? Awesome, good. So the 10-day challenge, you put some good stuff in your body for 10 days. Exercising and sweating. Ooh, that's kind of a naughty one for a lot of us, right? The whole exercise beast. I'll be honest, that's the area that falls off for me, which is why I have to make sure I do something like a CrossFit so that if I don't show up, they're like, where were you, Herb? Where were you? You just have to kind of put yourself in a position where you get some pressure sometimes to make sure to do it. Swap out household and personal care products. That's why we had Norwex, the essential oils. Prelude V, Mountain Air Organic Mattress. So these were some action steps. If you didn't take a picture of that or you don't have your sheet, that was the list that we sent out. Now, in your sheet, you have this thing called the Neurotoxic Questionnaire, okay? And it is a busy sheet, and for those of you who are toxic, it's going to be too overwhelming. You're going to look at it and go, it's so busy, I can't follow it. what the important thing you need to understand about this sheet is, it unpacks things that will show up in your labs. And some of you have been misdiagnosed with diseases or disorders that really what you have is you have an issue with heavy metal, mold, and biotoxins. Okay? So I will give you some action steps today so that you can get that stuff out of your body. Okay? So if you look at that sheet and you see on the left-hand side, you see the nerve cell and the fat cell, okay? And you see the toxins come in and attach themselves to the nerve and the fat cell. So why you see it on the fat cell is because some of you can't lose weight because you have a toxicity issue, okay? Toxins are stored in fat cells. When you remove the toxins, the fat cells go bye-bye too. Now some of you say, but man, I've been doing that. Well, some of you, it's pretty toxic and you have to, it takes time, okay? Just be patient. What you're doing is working. It's just maybe not working as fast as you want it to. I know I want things to happen right now. But your body has a infinite wisdom. It knows exactly what it's doing. We just have to give it an opportunity to heal and remove the things that interfere with its healing, okay? When you see, and you go to the right where it says capillaries, the whole right side of this paper has things that have to do with your blood, your immune system. The test that we did on you, that VCS test, the visual test, that test was performed because of this top thing on the right, capillaries. If you have a restriction in blood flow to your nerves, the best nerve to test is your optic nerve, because then you have a lack of oxygen. We have a lack of blood supply and oxygen to your nerves. What happens to the optic nerve is you have a difficulty in being able to contrasting shades of gray. So some of you looked at that and were like, this is crazy, like I can't figure this out. Well, the contrast ability between shades of gray is what's affected when you have a toxic exposure. So some of you couldn't tell if the lines were leaning left, right, or straight, okay? And based upon how you scored on that test will determine what one of the factors are to be able to properly diagnose someone with neurotoxicity, okay? So that's one of the things that we used. The immune system here on the right-hand side talks about people who have autoimmune disorders. Some of you have been given a diagnosis of an autoimmune disorder, and there's a lot of autoimmune, there's probably 100 autoimmune disorders, and believe it or not, diabetes falls in autoimmune. Okay, so you're not immune to the diagnosis of autoimmune if you're diabetic, okay? So keep in mind that that stuff that's totally preventable, your body can heal from. We've seen it heal. We see it heal all the time, okay? We just have to give the body an opportunity. The bottom right says that if elevated cytokine-related symptoms, if we have had toxicity for a long period of time, the body releases what's called cytokines, and you can have flu-like symptoms ongoing. And that could be things like headaches, muscle aches, joint pain, fatigue, unstable temperature, difficulty concentrating, or what we call brain fog, just generally brain fog, okay? That's why we have to go through that process and make sure we can detox, make sure we get this stuff out of the system, okay? Now this section right down here, these are several things that we test for or that we evaluate. Sleep disturbance, remember I said that's one area that people end up having problems with if they have biotoxicity or mold or things like that. Reduced ADH, several of you had that. Reduced ADH, you're peeing all the time, right? Sex hormones are reduced, changes in your stress hormones, prolonged illness, resistant to staph bacteria, leaky gut issues, and chronic pain. So it's wicked what can happen when you get exposed to this stuff and how it can totally wreck your life. The good news is that we can identify it, we can find the cause. You know, DC doesn't just mean doctor of chiropractic, it means doctor of cause. We are all about finding the cause. And so we can find the cause and help you move down a road toward getting your life back, okay? So that's the purpose of this sheet here I gave you so you can go back and revisit it. Now this sheet that's in your folder on the right-hand side, I've written some things down. Write any questions that you have in here down so that when we go back in the room I can kind of hit them for you. Some of you may not even need to see me because you're just pretty clear pretty straight ahead. There's not really complication in there, but others it's complicated, okay? So you'll see in the top, you'll see some diet protocol things on the left. So you might see the checked off for advanced plan. We're going to review the advanced plan in here so there's no question, okay, before we go back, okay? So some of you need to follow the advanced plan. The advanced plan is for people who need to what? They need to heal. Julie said it. They need to heal. Some of you are saying because I want to lose weight, but really you need to heal. That's really what it is. Some of you don't need to lose weight. It's you need to heal. Okay, that's why we call it also the healing diet.
If you heal, then you will.
If you heal, if you need to lose weight, you will.
Exactly.
If you don't need to, you won't. Okay. Now, beets, liver, and greens fast. That's for some of you. Your labs came back that you're having an iron issue. Okay. I'm not going to throw iron at you. I want to have you get foods in you that have iron in them because that's the most absorbable form of iron. A lot of times iron will just constipate you. Those of you who are taking it, you know what I mean. And if you're constipated, then you can't what? You can't detox. You see how it's a counter, like it's works against the plan. So some of you need to eat more beets. You need to learn to like them. Liver and green, do a greens, we've got some greens, a green juice recipe as well, or the greens first actually. Bone broth fast. So there's bone broth, this product that we recommend bone broth here, and so there'll be a bone broth fast recommendation for some of you who really just need to focus on that if that's checked off. There's a green juice fast that is the green juice recipe a lot of you have seen, and you can also go to where to pick this up? You can go to the website. You can also go to the Smoothie Factory. And if for those of you who don't have a juicer or you're like, I'm not going to juice, I hear some of you say that to me.
Is that Sojo, the name of that juice that you can buy?
Does anybody know what the name of it was? It was a green juice, and it was this recipe. Yeah, just ask the guy for Dr. Herb's green juice, and they'll tell you. Yeah, because Dr. David will go in there in the morning and buy like 6 of them after a run or something. So that's going to be one of your action steps. Some of you have the GI reboot, and others have the 15-day detox. So the 15-day detox means that you'll be doing that detox system box. Does everybody know what the detox system is? Yes? Okay. The detox system box, and you'll be doing an intensive dosage of it for 15 days. Basically, you're throwing a whole lot at your issue to dump off a whole lot more toxins. But when you do this, what do you have to do to be able to detox? You have to poop, right? Bowels have to move. I'm going to keep bringing this up because it's super important for you to detox. Your bowels have to move.
Poop question.
Poop question, yeah.
So, frequency, how many times a day?
So Dr. David does this really funny little analogy, and does anybody know about the train analogy? So he talks about a train station, and you're basically supposed to, if you 3 trains in, which means meals, should be 3 trains out. And if the end of the week you don't have 3 trains out, then the train station's going to be backed up, and a lot of trains are going to be stuck at the train station. Do you guys ever see that? He does this really funny. He's much funnier when he does it.
You get the point.
You get it. So that's what they say. Now some people only eat 2 meals a day, solid, good, so 2, but that's really the range between 1 and 3. Less than that every day, you're constipated. Okay, so I like to kind of shoot for 2. That's my goal for most people. Okay. So that's the 15-day detox. That might be checked off for you. Rebecca will have instructions in your binder on the right-hand side, the 15-day, and if it's not in there, she'll give it to you. Instructions are, okay. And then vitamins. So the middle column has vitamins on it, so chronic lymph, complete mineral. If that's complete minerals checked off, then your lab showed a real deficiency in minerals. If you don't have minerals, you're going to have leg cramps. Some of you have Charlie horses and leg cramps and restless leg at night, or you're married to somebody who does, just sneak the minerals in and you'll sleep really good, okay? Or bring them in here, better yet. So, complete mineral complex. Your cells will not do their normal process if they don't have minerals, which is why you get a little warning sign when your legs cramp up, okay? So very important to make sure you do that. You'll pick up the complete mineral complex here, and it'll say, I wrote on there how many you need to take, okay? The next thing is the iron protocol. You'll have that checked off, and I wrote a little instructions, again, the beets, the greens first, that kind of stuff. Kidney cleanse. Several of you had kidney clogging issues. A kidney is a filter and a detox organ. So if your kidney in your labs has stress to it, we need to take it seriously. I have a lot of people in here on a kidney transplant list or on dialysis. None of us, we need those organs. So let's make sure we take good care of our kidneys and we do the cleanses and we do the things that we wrote on there, okay? Liver cleanse. Several of you have congested livers, okay? Congested liver is going to lead to high cholesterol, going to lead to an inability to do with cholesterol what you should be doing with it. Cholesterol is a Band-Aid. Your body needs cholesterol. Any type of injury, cholesterol rushes to the injury and it creates a Band-Aid. We don't want to be taking medications to lower cholesterol when our body needs it, okay? So keep that in mind. Your congested liver, you can't detox. You also have problems with your cholesterol as well, okay? So some of you will need to do a liver cleanse, maybe a Liver Life product that we have that helps to support the liver so that the liver can do what it needs to do, which is a really important primary role. The next thing is Parasite Cleanse and then vitamin D mega dosage, okay? So if those are checked off, so let's just say vitamin D mega dosage is checked off. On your labs, if your labs do not have you between 70 and 100, then you have vitamin D deficiency. So you can write that down, between 70 and 100. Some of you have been supplementing and it is not working. Your product, if it's not our product, is not working. If it is our product, you need a mega dose, okay? I have several people on prescriptions for vitamin D and it's trash. It doesn't work. It congests your colon too. So we need to make sure that we do a mega dosage of vitamin D. I have a couple of you that have almost no vitamin D. I'm not sure how you're alive. I'm being very serious. Like, vitamin D is critical for healing. You can't heal if your vitamin D is in the toilet. 70 to 100, it's like a grading scale, like a 70 to 80 is a C, 80 to 90 is a B, 90 to 100 is an A, okay? So guess what? What's cool is you can do a mega dosage here and you could totally boost your immune system in 3 days. Now who's going to tell you that? 3 days.
Just taking more of the vitamin D.
And what's going to happen is you mega dose, okay, so you'll have an instruction sheet that says you mega dose. You'll take a high amount for 3 days. I mean like a whole bottle, some of you, maybe a bottle and a half, some of you, for 3 days, each day for 3 days. And then at the end of 3 days, you will stay on 1, 2, or 3 capsules a day, depending upon kind of where you were, to maintain that. Because most of us are definitely not getting the sunshine we need. I look around this room and most of you are not getting sunshine, okay? And sunshine is God's little vitamin He gave us to grow our vegetables and our fruits, and right? So we are not getting it. We're working so much, we're taking care of our kids, we're just not in the sun enough. So the sun is critical. Now, not to get burned, but the sun is critical to regulate your hormones, to heal, to boost your immune system. And there's so many things about, in fact, we were in our Max Living seminar we just had this past weekend. There was a very famous cardiologist there who was our guest speaker for the weekend, Dr. Woodson. Did I say it right? Dr. Woodson, I think is the name. His wife is a chiropractor. Anyway, his wife is so funny, this cool story. He met his wife on their first date. She's a chiropractor, he's a cardiologist, and she says, she's my kind of girl, she says, everything that you do in your office is crap and it's killing your patients. This is their first date. I was like, yes, I want to meet her. So he goes, he was in a really hard time in his practice. He started seeing his dad had Parkinson's, his dad was a cardiologist, the whole family was really brilliantly smart. And so he's listening, he's like, tell me more. So it was God's timing on that situation. So the guy left traditional cardiology and he's in Arizona, and now he has a natural cardiology practice. And guess what one of his requirements are if you're going to come in to see him? You must be under chiropractic care or you will not be a patient in my office. Because he understands that here's your heart and here's the nerve supply to your heart. If this is not clear, forget it. So of course he works on nutrition. He does everything that he's a 5 essential cardiologist. It's the craziest, most amazing, awesome thing. And he sits in there and he says, you know, we're wrong and you guys are right. Do you know how amazing that is to hear when you've been told you're kind of like the losers of all doctors?
And from a cardiologist.
And from a cardiologist, right? And I went through that with my husband, like almost losing my husband, you know, with a heart condition. So this was a God moment. You know, it was just so amazing to hear that. So he hits vitamin D harder than anything else other than chiropractic. He's sort of like chiropractic and vitamin D and non-GMO food and you're good to go. Like that's kind of his thing. Of course, exercise and all that kind of stuff. Like he hits the 5 essentials like crazy. And so here's the thing. If you have an easy step to change your health right now, just do the mega dosage, stay on vitamin D and never go off vitamin D and start getting some sunshine. Okay, so the next thing, I wrote on some of yours underneath this diet protocol an exercise protocol. So I wrote on some of yours, you need to move. Guess what the next cycle is that we'll be teaching for the next 2 months? It's called movement. So all of you need to show up. Okay, movement. That's going to be a really critical piece for you guys to be healthy. Your labs came back, showed me some things that we got to get you moving. Okay, so that's going to be written. I wrote some of your instructions. Some of you need to work on, when we got your labs back, some of you need to work on your core. Your core is weak. So I wrote some things on there for you, okay? The next side, on the right-hand side, says heavy metals or other testing, heavy metals test. Several of you, I checked off, you need to get that test. That's got to be in your action step list, and it came back that your test said that you need it. Some of you, that's the reason why you're having a lot of health issues, because we've got mercury trapped in your brain and it's not coming out. So that's in there. Dutch test, that's a hormone test, fantastic, one of the best hormone panels that there is. Metabolics test, some of you are already doing it, and I say keep going, keep doing your metabolic supplements, stay focused. Okay, some of you need to do that as an action step, because we found your test came back and showed malnutrition or some sort of an autoimmune. We need to do metabolics so that we get real serious and focused, and we get you out of that autoimmune class so your body can actually begin to heal, okay? Thermography, that's the full body exam scan that we do. So some of you needed that. Comprehensive biopanel we did. Heavy metal chelation, if I check that off, provided that you don't have silver fillings in your mouth, you can do heavy metal chelation. If you still have silver fillings in your mouth, then we have to take those out safely, and then you can chelate. Some of you have already taken them out, and I know you have not done it safely. Okay, so if you have not done it safely, we've got to help you, because you're going to congest all of those detox organs, like your kidney. I have a friend that ended up, her kidney got clogged and she ended up losing her kidney. So we have to do it safely. It's very important. TANITA, VCS, and Neurotoxic Questionnaire. Then underneath, you'll see future retesting. If I wrote future retesting in there, it's because I'm concerned and I want to see some changes. So in 3 to 6 months, we need to retest you, okay? Because I'm concerned. I want to see results in the next 3 to 6 months. Something has to change. And underneath, I have supplement and other recommendations, okay? So I wrote down your recommendations and we can chat about it when we finish. Indications you need the advanced plan. Is anybody unclear of whether if you need the advanced plan or not? Okay, you're probably not gonna raise your hand. All right, what is the advanced plan? Just by way of review, because this is the same board. So we hit anything that turns to sugar is what we need to remove, okay? Because we need to heal. That's the purpose, is because we need to heal. So no grains, no pasta, no rice, no oatmeal. And I'm not the bearer of bad news. I'm just trying to tell you, because I know some of you are like, my oatmeal. Just hang in there, because your body will heal. It will heal, I promise. Just hang in there. Follow the process. Grass-fed, wild-caught, non-GMO meats. Unsweetened coconut almond milk. No potatoes, carrots, or corn. So this had to do with the vegetables. You can have all vegetables, just stay away from those because they turn to what? Sugar. It's the only reason why. Your berries, these are the berries that are lowest in sugar. So we're really, or fruits is really what I'm trying to say. So your fruits that are lowest in sugar, we want to stick with berries, Granny Smith apples, grapefruit, lemons, limes. Okay, and I'll put avocado in there just to sound smart. Okay, because it is a fruit, right? So we can have those fruits. So fruits and vegetables and no grains, and watch our meat and our dairy products. Meat and dairy should be grass-fed, non-GMO, right? That's what we want to stick with, okay? So that is going to be what we call the advanced plan. Now you also have books. These 3 books are resources to be able to find recipes, a shopping list, and how to trade some things out that you have at home. That's what those books are for, okay? Is everybody good with that? Okay, good. Now this test, the little strip of paper that you have in there, it's a little longer than what you see on here. But some of you have a very high body fat, and that's putting you at risk, okay? So we need to make sure that we're working on moving, eating, and exercising. Moving and exercising are the same thing, but I'm saying it twice because it's that important, okay? Detoxing. Some of you can't lose weight because you need a detox, but it doesn't make movement any less essential, okay? You don't want to just do one without the other. If you don't move it, you'll lose it, okay? Motion is life. And I know just getting here, they had the little class this morning, and one of the ladies came in, and I said, how you doing? She goes, well, I'm here. You know, I said, yes, you're here. Are you ready to work out? No, not really. Yeah, but you made it here.
Yeah.
The hardest part is to put your shoes on and get there.
That's right.
But once you're there, you never regret it. Like, I've never regretted working out. But I don't know if you guys do this, but I have every excuse under the sun in my mind. Every excuse. Oh, but I got to do this. Oh, but I don't have time to do that. Like, you just run these little tapes in your head. They're all lies. This is a lie you're telling yourself. So we need to get moving. Now this Tanita has a couple things I circled on there. It has your body fat, and it has a desirable range where you should be. And then a little lower on the test, it shows your arm, your leg, both of your arms left and right, both of your legs left and right, and your trunk. Some of you have a much higher body fat in your trunk. That puts organs at risk. Okay, that means if you have a higher body fat here, then you have a higher body fat around your heart, around your liver, around all those organs inside, and they can't do their job if they're surrounded with fat. So you need to make sure that we are working on our core, okay? Everybody with me? So I probably wrote core on a few of you, okay? Or I wrote planks on there. Does everybody know what planks are? You can actually do a little YouTube video and watch some different kinds of ways of doing planks, but planks are so awesome and really, really good for strengthening your core, okay? The comprehensive bio panel, we had a patient, now I told y'all wrong, we said like 2,100, I think when we did it. We had a patient go over to the lab and they were told, he didn't have his requisition form, he showed up there. He said, well, it'll be $2,600. He texted Dr. David freaking out. The guy wants to charge me $2,600 for this labs, and we're like, come back and get your requisition form, it's okay. But that's what the lab was charging. So we told you when we went through the event, but none of us are paying that here, yay. Okay, so labs, this first page of your labs, it has, just I'll overview real quickly, it has a lot to do with diabetes, has a lot to do with kidneys, has a lot to do with mineral imbalances, okay? So I wrote on yours what I'm concerned with. And the reason why I wrote the areas I'm concerned is because I looked through your whole file. I looked through everything. And as a clinician, I pull it all together, okay? And so that's kind of what I wrote on some of yours, okay? Now the next page is going to get into some more minerals, some more protein. Liver is huge, iron is big on there, and then your cholesterol, okay? So that's where we got some of the things I put on the front page based upon some of your results on here, okay? So that's what you might see on some of yours. The next page, you'll see like the ratio at the top, it tells you the risk of the cholesterol HDL ratio, and then C-reactive protein, that's an autoimmune inflammatory marker, okay? If that one showed up, That's another confirmation that you are headed to, or someone would diagnose you. I'm not going to, okay? But that's really what that marker would be. Then we get into a huge thyroid test. I mean, this is some most comprehensive thyroid bundle. It's in there telling us whether we have hypo. Some of you are taking medication and you shouldn't. Some of you, the doctor would say you should, okay, based upon what your thyroid labs came back. Some of you have the antibody that your body is actually attacking its own thyroid. So that would be one of the labs, okay? They call that Hashimoto's or Graves, okay? So some of you, that would be one of the things that you would be diagnosed with, okay? But we need to take some serious action steps to heal that thyroid, okay? The next thing that you'll see on there is your vitamin D levels, okay? So if your vitamin D levels were under, what range did I say I wanted them to be?
70.
Okay, I want them to be 70 to 100. So if I wrote low on there, then we know we need a megadose. You guys with me? Okay? What's cool is you're going to get your immune system back really quickly, okay? So that's that page. The next page, we're going to get into a lot to do with your blood and like your white blood cells, your ability to clot, clotting factors, okay? Red blood cells, your immune system, your platelets. Some of these things will tell us a little bit more about your thyroid as well if they're out of range, okay? And again, immune system. So that page right there, hemoglobin, if you're carrying oxygen to your cells, so that's going to give us a lot of information on that page. Eosinophils, so this is more into, now we're getting into your urine test. So anything out of range in the urine test right here. So that's page 5 on the labs. Now this page is the visual contrast sensitivity test. And if we tested you and you have the beginnings of a cataract coming, then it would just be one test, but not necessarily, I wouldn't put as much stock in that, because if you can't see because you have a cataract, it's going to hinder your ability to take the test, okay? So if you tested and you landed up in the shaded range that you see up on the board there, then that's good. You landed up in the shaded range. If you landed below that, just slightly below, that gives us an indication it could be heavy metals like a mercury, lead, or a biotoxin, okay? So that's what we're looking at when I go through all the tests to see if that's what that is. Now, the next thing, I can go through and see if you have a mold exposure, well then that gives us more information, right, to be able to know. We need to find that source of mold. So this questionnaire, if you put on there you have silver fillings, you have yearly flu shots. I might have written a question on there like, are you still doing yearly flu shots? Because we're going to have a talk about that. Do you have tattoos with red ink? Do you eat large amounts of fish that has a lot of mercury in it? Do you have mold growing in your home? Have you ever had water damage? So questions like that. And does spending time away from your home make you feel better? That's a little indication that your home's probably got something in it. Okay, so that's page 1. Page 2, certain things that you check off on here give me more of an indication that it's mold and another indication that it's mercury or lead, okay? Or you have a hormone, some hormone like your ADH hormone imbalance. So that's what these tests are really important for. The next page, the same thing. Then we kind of give a cumulative score, and that gives us indication of what the action steps are that we need to take, okay? Again, the detox project action steps, and that's the last side right there. Did this help you guys, kind of reviewing this? Is that, okay, good, that's what I wanted to know, good.